So we're here today talking with Brian Murphy. He's a guitar teacher with a profile on FindaGuitarTeacher.com. Brian, thank you so much for joining us for this interview.
Thanks for me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Maybe you could start by telling us where you're located. What state and what city are you in?
I'm in New York State. I'm
Uh-huh.
north of New York City, about 40 miles. I'm in Rockland County.
Got it. And what's the guitar teaching climate like there? Do you find there's a lot of interest in learning to play guitar?
Um, yeah, there's people out
Hmm.
there.
That's
You
great.
gotta do your marketing and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. And do you find that you teach more younger students, like kids, or more adults, or is it a pretty even mix?
Majority of mine is probably younger
Hmm.
kids, teenagers, school, and then
Sure.
some few adults.
Yes. And what would you say is the youngest that you teach?
Right now, it's tough. Seven to eight.
Hmm.
It's tough.
Yes.
Young ones are tough.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And do you travel to your students' homes, or do your students come to you, or do you do both, or how do you
Uh,
do that?
Mostly to the homes.
Hmm.
And then maybe one day at my house. It's just not
Got
enough
it.
here. But
Understood.
yeah.
And what would you say the styles of music are that people are most interested in learning? What genres of music do you often get requests to learn?
The girls are pop and the guys are metal.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Some classic rock, some alternative stuff. But,
Yes. And do you have a particular style of music or a genre that you enjoy teaching more than another?
um, yeah, classic rock and the pop stuff.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Do you have other genres that you offer as well?
I cover basically everything. I won't do like hardcore country or classical.
I see.
Because
Got it.
I studied classical in school and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm. Got it. And what do you, if you could tell us a little bit, just in simple terms, what is your overall approach to teaching guitar?
overall overall approach.
Yeah.
Um,
I know it's a big question, but if you could kind of give us an overview of how you approach teaching.
um, Goals. What are their goals?
Hmm.
What do they want to do? What do they want
Hmm.
to get out of it?
Yes.
And generally, in any music or musician, it's playing songs or playing with other people. That's the end goal. Even if you want
Yes.
to solo better or technique, that's
Hmm.
all. Okay, I'm going to play a solo, but that's within the song, and so it
Yeah.
all comes down to playing songs
Hmm.
and doing
Hmm.
that.
That's great. And can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you learn to play guitar?
Um, a little bit self-taught in my teenage years.
Hmm.
Took some private lessons, got some reading done through high school. Um, Rush and Zeppelin, classic rock, late 70s, early 80s. Was very into becoming a studio guitar player. Went to Berkeley, graduated Berkeley. I studied jazz lessons with Steve Kahn, John Abercrombie,
Hmm.
and Bill Connors. Um, so I got into the whole jazz thing in Berkeley. So that's my bag now, personally.
I see. So that's something that you're working as a jazz musician. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
yeah, yeah. That's my
focused on?
yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. And can you tell us a little bit about the format of your lessons? Like how often do you work with people? How long are your lessons?
Once a week is the usual half hour.
Hmm.
Some are 45 minutes or an hour,
Yes.
depending on their level of the adults. That's it.
Hmm.
That's
Got
weekly
it.
half hours is the usual.
Yes, sure. And so we'd love to hear you play something just to kind of get a sense of what you're like as a guitar player. Is there something you can play for us?
Just do a blues maybe.
Uh-huh. Cool.
Um,
Wow, that's cool. That's great. Can you tell us a little bit about that guitar that you're playing?
it's a Brian Moore custom guitar.
Uh-huh.
It's a small company that was out of Poughkeepsie or Brewster in New York.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they're still around a
Uh-huh.
little bit.
Yes.
Um, and I worked for the company. I worked at Manny's Music, so I was in retail for about 13 years, and then I became a company rep for Brian Moore.
Uh-huh.
Did the 13-pin guitar, and they have the patent on the USB output.
Yes.
So
Got it. So you worked at Manny's in New York City.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's a historic
yeah.
store. Unfortunately, no longer around, but
I was sales
yeah,
manager when all that went down. So
no kidding. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. And can you tell us a little bit more about your equipment? What do you have other guitars besides the one you're playing?
I use Brian Moore's. That's basically I have a Martin acoustic, an Aria Spanish classical,
Yes.
a PV Viper tube amp. I use Sibilia 6 for writing out charts and exercises,
Okay.
for lessons,
Yeah.
custom backing tracks. I use Logic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Got it. And do you offer guidance to your own students? I imagine you do if you were a sales
oh yeah,
manager at a,
yeah.
for buying their own equipment, that kind of thing.
They always shoot me emails like in pictures of like, oh, my birthday's coming up. I want to buy this. What do you think? And
Mm-hmm. Sure, sure. That's great that you get that involved with your students and help them out in that way.
yeah, yeah.
Great. Well, Brian, it's been great to hear about your teaching and to hear you play guitar a little bit too.
Okay,
So
thanks.
thank you very much for doing this interview, and we look forward to seeing you on Find a Guitar Teacher.
Thanks.